So we were with them, we sat with them, and they actually spoke to us with regards to the issue on the burial. Now remember, that has been a contentious issue from yesterday and the day before yesterday as well. And so now they have reached that consensus. The burial will be on Monday as per Jewish custom, but they were also requesting for the DPP, the DCI, and the prisons authorities to allow Sarah Cohen to be there during that burial. So a court order will be issued today, or rather, let's say a court order will be applied. They will apply for that court order. That's specifically Sarah Wairimu's side, the lawyer representing her, that's Philip Mulgore. So they will apply for a court order to be issued, and that court order will be specifically just to allow Sarah Cohen to be there during that burial. So they said that they will make that application today, so there's still tomorrow for the burial to be there on Monday. Another contentious issue was with regards to the results of the post-mortem examination. Yesterday we were there from about 9 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. when the chief government pathologist Johansen Odwor spoke to the media. Remember, at that time, Ken, he mentioned that they cannot allow the media to be in the know with regards to that examination report and the results. So he was very careful with the information that he was giving us. He only said that they've come to a unanimous agreement, him together with the pathologist representing Sarah Wairimu, that's Andrew Gashie, and also Emily Rogena, who represents the family of TOB Cohen. So it's a unanimous agreement with regards to the findings. That's what they said. And also another issue that came up was the X-ray. Now the report was given yesterday during that post-mortem, and we were also not allowed as media to pick in with what has happened, what results were there from the X-ray. So these are things that will be used as evidence in the court case against Sarah Wairimu Cohen. And so what we do know now is that Monday, that burial will be conducted as per the Jewish customs. They're also not allowing media. They also said that they won't allow any friends. So no friends of TOB Cohen will be there for his burial. It's only family who will be allowed during that ceremony.
All right, even as I let you go, Mel, just a quick one. Why is it that this autopsy report is, why is it that it's shrouded in mystery? Why is it that they don't want to use it? Because we've had several cases before which are subject of the court, but still the results of the autopsy is usually said to the public. So why is it that this is so secretive, or is it because the courts gagged any kind of discussion on the outcome?
You know, Ken, it's interesting you asked that, because even yesterday when we were waiting for those results, we actually thought that Chief Government Pathologist will probably give us a bit of what the results were from the post-mortem, but he did not. Yes, you've mentioned that there was a court order barring information regarding this court case, and he mentioned that yesterday when he spoke to the media. So no information is allowed with regards to the media especially. And so we hope that because they want to use this as evidence, we hope that when we cover it as a court issue, when it will be coming up in the courts, then we'll be able to know what issues came up in the autopsy report, and also the X-ray, which is very important with regards to whether TOB Cohen had fractures or not, what kind of foreign objects were found in his body. All these issues may come up when this issue is brought before the court, Ken.
All right, Mel Miendo, thank you very much. You've tried to explain, even though we are not allowed to talk about these matters, but that's as much as Mel Miendo can talk about. Let's now turn to politics, and ODM party leader Raila Odinga says the party is ready for the Kibra by-election. Now, this comes as Jubilee nominated Member of Parliament, Maina Kamanda, announced that he will be rooting for Imran Okoth, who's the brother of the late Ken Okoth. Now, the nominated MP said that his support is individual and not from the Jubilee Party, whose leaders endorsed MacDonald Mariga at State House yesterday.
Campaign in Kibra constituency is done in a very peaceful and friendly atmosphere. We don't want to see any kind of violence in this campaign. We want to show not only Kenyans, but the world, that Kenyan democracy is maturing and that people can engage in ideas and, convince the, 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 populace, that they have better ideas and ideology to sell, and that they are ready to work for the constituents. This is what ODM is committed to, and this is what we also want to see our other competitors do in this campaign.
As a person, I will be with the nominee that has been nominated. Me, I call him handshake candidate. And there are so many other members of parliament who want to come and support him, just for one reason, that we have enjoyed peace in this country, and we don't want that peace to be thrown out by few people.
Right, the handshake candidate. President Uhuru Kenyatta has signed into law 2 bills, among them the County Allocation of Revenue Bill 2019. Now it's law. Now, the 2019 Act provides for the equitable allocation of revenue raised nationally among the county government for the 2019-2020 financial year. The Act also provides for the transfer of the allocated funds from the consolidated fund to respective county revenue funds. Also assented to was the Copyright Act 2019, which was an amendment which is also aimed at addressing growing concerns about royalty rights in the country, especially the collection and disbursement of fees and dues to the copyright holders. Away from that, to some business and electricity distributor, Kenya Power's net earnings for the year ended June 2019 are expected to drop by more than 25% as compared to the same period last year. Now, Kenya Power attributes the impending drop in profits to, among other things, an increase in non-fuel cost. In the previous financial year, Kenya Power posted 63.7% decline in net profit to 1.92 billion shillings as power purchase cost, excluding fuel and foreign exchange cost, increased by 2.59 billion shillings to 52.79 billion shillings. Away from that, let's take you to Parliament, which is now asking to be enjoined in the case in South Korea Ambassador nominee Mwende Mwinzi, which was filed challenging a decision to have her renounce her American citizenship before she takes up the office in South Korea. Now, Parliament insists it followed the law in their conditional approval of her nomination, saying her moving to court is tantamount to suing the president. NTV's political affairs reporter Ken Mijungu with the fresh details to this story.
Parliament is preparing for a showdown with South Korea Ambassador nominee Mwende Mwinzi, who has sued to have Parliament stopped from forcing her to renounce her U.S. citizenship before she takes up the job. In the case certified as urgent, Mwinzi says she is not a state officer under Article 260 of the Constitution, and even then, she is exempt by virtue of Article 78(3)(b, which states the provision of dual citizenship exempts any person who has been made a citizen of another country by operation of that country's law without ability to opt out. NTV understands that the National Assembly Speaker's office has directed the Legal Department of Parliament to join the case. In the petition filed through Senior Counsel Tom Ojenda, the Cabinet Secretary Foreign Affairs and Attorney General are the only respondents. Parliament reads mischief in this move.
This is not just a job. It's actually, this person is the representative of the government of Kenya and the president of Kenya in a foreign land.
Parliament argues its move to conditionally approve Mwinzi was justified and is premised in law. In the report on her approval tabled in Parliament, the Defense and Foreign Relations Committee, quoting the Leadership and Integrity Act Section 31, notes, a person who holds dual citizenship shall, upon election or appointment to a state office, not take office before officially renouncing their other citizenship, in accordance with the provisions of the Kenya Citizenship and Immigration Act of 2011.
If somebody believes that just because you qualify, you can actually disregard the law, both the Constitution and other laws, then you are mistaken.
Parliament has also relied heavily on a precedent-setting case of 2014 of Bishop Donald Kisaka Mwawasi versus the Attorney General, where he had been approved to vie for office but was asked to renounce his dual citizenship.
If you're an ordinary citizen, that's okay. But the moment you decide that you are going to run for office, for example, or you take up an appointment, then before you are sworn into that office, you must renounce the other citizenship.
Parliament is accusing the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of orchestrating the move by Mwende Mwenzi to move to court to challenge its decision, but it is still adamant that it is going to fight this to the very end. Kennedy Mureithi, NTV at Parliament Buildings.
Right away from that developing story, the government has set up a task force to gather views from stakeholders in the dairy sector on how to effectively implement new dairy regulations on the sale of milk. The Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture, Mwangi Kiunjuri, says the task force, which will operate for 3 months, will advise the Ministry of Agriculture through the Kenya Dairy Board on how to implement the regulations. Now, the CS was speaking in Ngonyek area, that's in Cherangan constituency, during an opening of milk coolers, while also launching the smallholder dairy commercialization program in that area.
Ambaye in the next three months itatuletea habari, ituelezee ni njia gani, hatua gani tutapiga.
Still speaking of livestock, Rift Valley Regional Coordinator George Natembea has put cattle rustlers and bandits in the North Rift on notice. He has further warned chiefs and assistant chiefs who allegedly work with the bandits. Natembea was in Maralal, where he met administration officers from the area. He also appealed to the residents to hand over their illegal firearms before the government takes action.
Wakati tumedisarm, tumeondoa bunduki katika mikono ya hawa wananchi, usalama hata umeimarika zaidi. Watu waregeshe bunduki, kwa sababu usiporegesha bunduki, serikali itakuja kuchukua bunduki na nguvu.
All right, a birthday is a special occasion, especially if you are celebrating more than 9 decades of growth and building memories. For one Priscilla Ongige, neither a hospital bed nor her physical disability could stop her from celebrating her 96th birthday. Priscilla is a dwarf and shared her special day with NTV's Janet Nyamwamo in Nyamira.
Residents of Bomorito village in West Mogrango constituency will most likely never forget this birthday party. Priscilla Ongige turned 96 on Saturday. Her joy only hides her sad past. She lost her husband decades ago. 1 out of her 3 children survived, and before his death in 1987 started a family. Yukabeth Onsare is Ongige's granddaughter, and she embraces education just like her grandmother.
Msijichukulia ati nyinyi sasa mtaweza, mjichukulie mnaweza. Kama mko na watoto, chukua watoto shule. So don't neglect education. Education is very important.
Ongige assumed full responsibility over her granddaughter and ensured that she received her education at Nyabururu Girls High School in Kisii. Even in her condition, she made numerous trips from Bomorito to Nyabururu in the outskirts of Kisii town, covering some 40 kilometers in each of her visits.
Serikali imeninyima pesa za uzee. Hata mimi niko hapa hai bado napumua. Nakula. Nafaa pia mimi nikumbukwe. Nashukuru mjumbe wangu Kemosi kwa kunipa hii wheelchair nina.
Sasa kwa sababu sisi hatukai na nyanya hapa nyumbani, tuko tu mahali tuko tu tunatafuta, pia sisi tuko na watoto, muweze kupea kiateka who is my mom now, hiyo pesa aweze kumchunga nayo. Kuna mshahara pia alikuwa anapewanga na Kisii County Council before the watoa hizi vitu. Sijui ilienda wapi, wakamtransfer kutoka Kisii County Council wakamleta Nyamira, then ikapotea hivyo. Sasa sijui vile ilipotea.
So this is an issue that I'm going to pick up with the highest authority, with the ministry, to see that she receives the money.
Ambia serikali wakati walikuwa nanitembeza kila mahali, waje sasa wanitembelee. Nimekuwa mzee hata nakosa chakula. Na nasema nipe pesa za uzee initunze nikiwa hai.
The party may be over, and even as she goes back to her regular life, Ongige's resilience and dedication has already left a mark in the community. Janet Nyamwamu, NTV.
96 years, celebrating her 9 decades in the world, and 6 more. Now, corruption is one of the greatest threats to African economies as it stripes away the dignity of the people and the continent's ability to grow. Delegates attending the 42nd General Assembly of the Organization of Africa Trade Unions and Unity have called on the governments to deal ruthlessly with corruption in order to give the continent a chance at development.
If you are a honest man, the likelihood of your falling victim to corruption is very high. That is why prevention is therefore very careful. We must produce and have systems which are instituted to ensure that as much as possible corruption is the exception other than the rule.
Today in Africa, if you came with the intention of solving some of our problems, to enhance social justice, to make workers live decent lives, people will fight you. You find government is fighting it, and you wonder, then the same government is so short-sighted because unless you pay people well, there can never be development because you need the people to be a market of the goods and services.
So I think the problem of a black person is related also to the skin. The decision we make is not a decision that can propel us out of poverty. So we must make a decision and live with that decision.
Away from that to some unfortunate incident, and 2 people, including a police officer, died in an accident along the Malaba-Bungoma highway last evening following a head-on collision between a police cruiser and a trailer. Several other people sustained serious injuries. The accident is said to have happened a few meters from Ikalapok Primary School at a black spot. Residents say a trailer coming from Bungoma heading towards Malaba border hit a police Land Cruiser coming from Malaba to Amagoro. 1 policeman and the trailer driver are reported to have died on the spot. And elsewhere, youth from Molem area right here in Nairobi, Embakasi West, crying foul over the shortage of stalls at the Wakulima market. Now, the youth claimed that they were not allocated space at the market, adding that the available stalls were illegally allocated to the highest bidders. According to the youth, the stalls were sold for up to 200,000 shillings, which they say they could not afford. They are now calling on the Nairobi County government to intervene before the market is officially opened. Now, over 5,000 gambling machines were destroyed in Limuru, Kiambu County following a police crackdown. Limuru Deputy County Commissioner gave a stern warning to those perpetuating the vice in that area, warning them that they will be arrested and the machines confiscated and destroyed. He further stated that foreigners found assembling the illegal gambling machines in the area will be brought to book. He has confirmed that some businessmen have already been taken to court. He blamed parents and the society at large for allowing school-going children to engage in gambling. And insurance firm AAR Kenya has launched a service that enables customers to manage medical expenses using their mobile phones on the Safaricom-backed MTBA platform. The new service replaces a smart card that the clients have been using to access treatment at the health facilities over the years. Speaking during the launch, AR Insurance Kenya MD Nixon Shigoi said that the service is also expected to help curb fraud by creating transparency of medical expenses for the clients, insurer and providers. The move comes as the health industry increasingly turns to technology as a distribution channel.
We are launching a partnership between us and CarePay, where we are going to enable our members to access services using the mobile. The ability to access the service is through both features phone and smartphones. One just needs to dial *253# to be able to access the service, although they require to enter a PIN for security reasons.
And Isuzu East Africa has entered into a partnership with NHC Bank, giving their SME customers a raft of mitigation measures on their payment of loans, providing additional business support in case of disruption to their businesses. The asset financing program, dubbed, quote, Zero Disruption, will offer insurance cover of up to 300,000 shillings per month for 2 months as SME businesses recover from the disruption. Isuzu says this initiative is expected to provide much-needed relief to the customers who suffer short-term disruption in their businesses and give them a fighting chance to sustain their businesses.
So today, the insurance product that we are launching together, we are calling the Zero Disruption Insurance Product. And what that product does is to ensure that during those 2 months of interruption, the bank is not knocking on your door to take your vehicle.
And sometimes, you know, they're carrying goods that belong to other parties, and that can completely get someone out of business. So the program also seeks to alleviate such situation by supporting the farmer recover the lost cargo up to a maximum of Kenya shillings 1 million.
And still in business, as Tatu City takes shape, Cooper's Kenya Brand Limited, a company that manufactures and distributes agricultural input to livestock and crop protection, has begun the process of setting up a factory in the city to increase production of the nutritional supplements for livestock. The launch of the new plant comes at a time when the government has prioritized manufacturing under the Big Four agenda, financed through external borrowing from the Africa Agriculture and Trade Investment Funds and internal revenues. And of course, the factory in Kiambu County has a capacity to produce 2 tons per hour of the product. Cooper say it intends to leverage on the Tatu City facility as a stepping stone in the African market.
The farmers should remain confident the product is the same and getting better. What we usually tell our farmers, it is not even their confidence, it is the cow that tells them. You feed the cow and the cow is going to respond and tell you if the product is working or not. And our history so far, we've been in the market for 113 years, it's been working. If it was not working, we would still not be here.
All right, before we cross the borders, doctors conducting free medical camps in Murang'a County have raised concern over the increase of goiter in the country. According to the surgeons from Spain, the team of doctors are always overwhelmed by goiter cases, adding that the country lacks enough specialized surgeons to treat the enlarged thyroid. He noted that in the last medical camp 3 months ago, they operated over 150 patients, with more than 100 more scheduled for free operation at the 10-day camp, which started on Sunday. The patients say they have visited various hospitals and spent huge sums of money seeking medication. The thyroid sits low on the front of the neck along the front of the windpipe. All right, let's cross the borders now. And thousands of people gathered in three cities in Malawi yesterday to call for the sacking of the head of the Electoral Commission as protests resumed over May's presidential election results. Now they demonstrated in the capital, Lilongwe, in the commercial center, Blantyre and Mzuzu, demanding that Jane Asa, the head of the Malawi Electoral Commission, step down over her handling of the disputed May presidential elections. And according to the official results, President Peter Mutharika won 38.57% of the votes, while opposition chief Lazarus Chakwera secured 35.41%, and former Vice President Solos Chilima coming in third with 20.24% of the votes. But the two opposition leaders said there had been irregularities in the vote counting process, and both joined some of the subsequent protesters. Now the demonstrations come 2 days after the expiry of the 14-day ban on protest ordered by the Supreme Court in a bid to allow mediation between the government and protest leaders. From Malawi to Liberia, and As Liberia reels from school fire that killed 26 pupils and 2 teachers, football star and President George Weah visited the site to condole with the affected. Now, the boys were sleeping at the school just outside Monrovia when the overnight fire began, engulfing their dormitory in flames. 26 victims between the ages of 10 and 20 were buried swiftly in a collective traditional Muslim ceremony. During the site visit, President Weah mentioned that the cause of the fire was still unknown, though Liberian authorities claim an electric fault could be blamed for it. And juggling school protests and giving conservation speeches in regional capital, 15-year-old Ugandan Leah Nazugwe is challenging global citizens to make the world a better place. Now, receiving Amnesty International highest human rights award for her work this week, she got a standing ovation for her address on climate energy, and she will also take part in Friday's coordinated worldwide climate protest and has led the campaign to urge Kampala to implement a ban on plastic bags. She has also sounded alarm about massive deforestation, prolonged drought, and flooding attributed to climate change.
Young people are busy fixing a mess that they did not create. Young people from Kampala to New York, Cape Town to New York are raising up for the climate crisis.
Right, congratulations for her, and she'll definitely be taking part in the protest. And let's move now to Saudi Arabia, where despite Yemeni Houthi rebels claiming responsibility for the strikes that destroyed 6 million barrels of Saudi oil, now Saudi officials are pointing their fingers to the north, blaming Iran for that particular attack. Downplaying the capacity of the Iran-backed militia, Saudi Defense Ministry spokesperson reiterated that a combination of 18 drones and 7 cruise missiles fired at the 2 key oil installations came from the northern direction, ruling out its southern neighbors as the culprits. Among the debris collected from the attack was that of Delta wing belonging to Iranian unmanned aerial vehicle. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is in Jeddah to meet the Saudi Crown Prince to discuss the last attack on Aramco. All right, time now to play, and Warothe Kiru is in studio.
Thank you very much, Ken. Yes, it is time to play. And do you fancy a road trip? Let's get going, because that is what the national under-20 football team, the Rising Stars, have had to do. They took a bus to Uganda for the upcoming Sekafa under-20 championships. The team will be seeking to emulate the under-15 national team, who placed second in the Sekafa under-15 tournament last month. Under the watchful eyes of Coach Stanley Okumbi, the team has held 3 training sessions this week. In the tournament that kicks off on Saturday, Kenya has been pulled in a tough Group B alongside Ethiopia, Zanzibar and Tanzania. The Rising Stars will start off their campaign against Zanzibar on Sunday afternoon. And still keeping its national teams and the national football team, that's the women's team, the Harambee Starlets will take on Ghana in the 3rd round of the 2020 Tokyo Olympic qualifiers away on October 4th, with the return leg set for 4 days later. According to Football Kenya Federation, FKF, the team will depart for Ghana on October 2nd and return a day after the match. Harambee Starlets beat Malawi 5-3 on aggregate in the 2nd round, where the Black Queens thrashed Gabon 5-0 on aggregate. Incidentally, Kenya and Ghana played out a 1-1 draw in a friendly match played at Kasarani in November last year. The aggregate winner of this tie will sail into the 4th and 2nd last stage of the qualifiers, whose winner will bag a ticket to the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. Across the borders, and 24 goals were scored in 8 games on yet another night of high drama in the UEFA Champions League. PSG, Manchester City and Bayern Munich all won by big margins, while last season's losing finalist Tottenham Hotspur gave up a 2-goal lead to draw away to Olympiacos, and Atletico Madrid came from behind to draw with Juventus.
Playing a part in the showpiece.
Paris Saint-Germain claimed a 3-0 home win over Real Madrid. Angel Di Maria opened the scoring in the 14th minute.
Cardi, there's Di Maria!
19 minutes later.
Wake up to nothing but the best in news, conversation starters, and hard-hitting interviews that keep you informed for the day ahead.
Up and early, 6 on the nose. These people don't sleep. Fix first the data protection law, then we come up with the number.
Exactly my question to CS Joe Mushero.
Welcome to Living with Us. I'm your host, Sharon Mundia. Boy, have you missed out.
Stop your wheel. Game done.
Thank you for joining us on NTV today.
We have our reporters in different locations.
NTV is right here to bring you everything from the beginning to the end.
Hii ni NTV Sasa.
Kuna mambo mengi sana ambayo yanafanyika.
Sasa ni kumtuliza. Hii inaitwa sensory integration.
Shughuli pevu ya kudunda viwanjani narejea kwake
na kurudisha hapa studioni. Kuna mengi ambayo yanaendelea kujiri katika maeneo tofauti.
Tunavyoelewa nasema nini? Vimeundwa.
NTV in the morning. All you need to know to start your day.
Nilizae kama ajalema.
Serikali leta dawa gani?
It's almost a year, nothing has been done.
I just need some form of information.
Dr. Mugo Wairimu first hit the headlines when a video clip showing him raping an unconscious female patient in his clinic.
Wale wanaohusika pia wanajulikana lakini hawashikwi.
With the puzzle surrounding the sugar saga yet to be cleared.
How many times were you sexually abused?
Like 3 times.
How was a convicted child molester allowed to set up a children's home in the country?
NTV News. Bold, balanced, authoritative.
Where are we headed as a country?
Every time we make a step forward, we do 2 backwards.
Any fool with
Manchester United will get Thursday football underway when the Europa League starts tonight. And let's wrap it up with rugby. 2-time defending Rugby World Cup champions New Zealand will take on South Africa in Saturday's much-anticipated clash. The All Blacks received a hero's welcome when Japanese school children performed a haka at the team hotel in Kashiwa, northeast of the Japanese capital, Tokyo. The children's performance, which was accompanied by much singing, was met with a huge applause. Hundreds of fans converged to meet the All Blacks, with the players taking time to sign autographs and pose for selfies.
Huge amounts of money can be president of this country. It is no longer about service.
Why can't we move these people out and find somebody who can make the right decision for the country?
You're the experts, you can tell me.
We have to change the way we arrive at our leaders. We have to.
Organized crime, terrorism, and corruption, they're really siblings.
We don't need 10 cases. We just need 2 cases done properly, and it will serve a lesson.
Justice can only be found.
And you do have to make sure you catch that. That is all we have for you on sports. More updates at 4 p.m., 7 and 9 p.m. But now, back to Ken.
And thank you for watching NTV at 1. My name is Ken Mijungu. Enjoy the rest of our programs and the afternoon.